is happening, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Ty from Ty Drives, and sitting in front of us is a car that doesn't need any introduction. It is the 2026 Chevrolet Corvette Stingray, and this one just so happens to be a 2LT convertible with the Z51 Performance package. Now for 2026, the Corvette has received a kind of midlife refresh. So not a whole lot different on the exterior, but a whole lot different on the interior. In this video, we're gonna be checking out all the features on the exterior. We'll then pop open the cargo areas and check out the engine. Get a listen to that nice dual mode performance exhaust, and we'll also check out the interior for a full features review. Now, in case you're wondering how the Corvette drives, it's been a little while since I've driven one of these. We are going to do a full dedicated POV test drive on this very car, so we'll kind of test it out on more so everyday driving, like you're going to be driving this car 90% of the time. We will slip in an acceleration and kind of test out the suspension and things like that, so make sure you check out that separate video on my channel, Ty Drives. But up first is the front on the exterior, where we have the same headlights, but they look pretty good, so worth mentioning. We have a single bulb for both your high and low beams, powered by LED projectors. And we also have LED daytime running lights and turn signals. It's pretty good, all illuminated, very sleek looking headlight unit. Now this Corvette is finished in Arctic white with a nice dark metallic red stripe and a nice adrenaline red interior with the two-tone seats. So very nice spec'd out one for us to take a look at. Glossy black down here where your extra coolers are. So we have the radiators to either side to keep the engine nice and cool. We also have cameras up front thanks to the 2LT trimmable to make sure you don't scrape any higher curves or anything like that. But a good amount of gloss black up front and a very nice looking vehicle. And we also have that Corvette emblem instead of the Chevrolet emblem. This one is also optioned out with the very coveted black wheels, and we have 19-inch wheels in the front, 20s in the rear, 245/35 tires in the front, and quite a bit wider in the rear. But I say coveted because these black wheels were like impossible to get for years and years, but this one has it, and it also has those nice red brake calipers poking out behind the wheels. 4 piston calipers for the front and rear too, so that is pretty nice. Taking a look down the side, you can kind of see that convertible shape take part. Really, you have a kind of flat black back window, which we'll see in a minute, and our mirrors have a combination of glossy black and the Arctic white paint with blind spot warning. Now, these Corvettes are blind spot machines, so any extra sensors or cameras that can help out with that is much appreciated. So it does have the blind spot warning. We have our nice blades finished in metallic black and the little pad to get inside. Fuel door is on the driver's side as well, and you can really see that convertible shape in the back here with that flat piece of glass, which you can actually lower down. You can also see at the top with some stripes is your rear view camera mirror. Again, like I said just before, the more cameras, the more sensors on this vehicle to help you see, the better. In the back, our tires measure up at 305/30. And remember, those are 20-inch wheels. The front are 19-inch wheels. So these wheels are about 11 inches wide in the back for maximum grip. This one also has a nice high spoiler option to it. And again, Z51 package on this car. Taillights remain the same, but very cool kind of sequential style for the turn signals. And all the bulbs are powered by LEDs. Looks very nice, all illuminated, just like the front. In the rear, we have quite a bit of glossy black going on. Towards the bottom, we have some vents for heat extraction. Nice quad exhaust tips. Again, the dual mode performance exhaust can be a standalone option or part of the Z51 package, but either way, we have it and we're going to listen to it. We also have the reversing camera and parking sensors behind here with the glossy black Corvette logo, and our nice little buddy, the Stingray, right in between the stripes. So again, not a lot has changed on the exterior of the Corvette, but stay tuned for the interior. That's where all the changes start. I want to give a huge thanks to my friends at Blazia Chevrolet in Waterbury, Connecticut for allowing me to borrow this Corvette for a few hours for filming. And I wanted to extend this part to our audience. Let me know what you think of the styling on the Corvette. It's been out for quite some time now, I believe since 2020. And has this design aged gracefully? I want you to let me know in the comments. What a great view of this Corvette head on like this. Let's take a look at the front trunk so we can see what kind of storage space we're working with here, or in slang terms, the front trunk. So there is a button to pop it open on the key fob, or a button on the driver's door. And once you open that, it is actually a pretty nice little storage area in here. And I guess they think it's big enough for humans to fit in there because there's actually an emergency release in case you get locked in the front of your Corvette. There's also a 12-volt power outlet to hook up a battery tender and some anchors for a cargo net. But again, very nice deep cargo area in the Corvette. And we'll take a look at the rear cargo area next. And all these kind of exterior doors are a soft close. So very nice feature there. Let's check out the back. So yes, there is a rear trunk as well on the Corvette and the Corvette convertible like this one. However, the one downside to having the convertible is you really don't get a clear view into the engine bay, because in the coupe, you have nothing blocking this area where the engine is, so the whole rear lifts up. But in the convertible, that is where the roof goes, so we really don't get a clear look at the engine bay. We'll open up the convertible top a little bit just to see if we could see in there a little bit. And we'll also talk about the engine specs. But underneath here, it is all illuminated, which is very nice. And if we did have the two-door coupe, we would actually have some places to button in that Targa style roof, which is awesome. And for this trunk, there is a button on the key fob right underneath the E and the T in Corvette, and again on the inside driver's door. What do you say we check out the powertrain next? Okay, so here we go with the top of the kind of roof cover open. This is kind of open so that the top can go into this area here. But again, like I said, not a clear view into the engine bay, except Chevrolet does provide you with the option to get an engine appearance package for the convertible. So it'll kind of have a cutout in here so that you can see the top of the engine. But without this, you really don't have any view into the engine except for this little hole here. But it is pretty cool that you can see all the inner workings and gears and whatnot of the power top. But as far as the powertrain goes, we obviously have that famous 6.2 liter V8, no turbochargers, no superchargers on this one. 495 horsepower, 470 pound-feet of torque. I'd say that's enough to get you where you need to go. And obviously it just goes up from there with the E-Ray and the ZR1 and the Z06. So this is really just your basic powertrain. And since this has the Z51 package, the performance exhaust gives you 5 extra horsepower, 5 extra pound-feet of torque, which is pretty awesome. But that's the underneath the hood. I guess you could say hood. Let's check out what this thing sounds like. And after that exhaust clip there, I don't know anybody that I could think of that can deny the sound of this vehicle. It sounds awesome, no doubt about it, especially with that performance exhaust. But let's get into the interior where the changes start happening. You see some design changes on the door, where we have a nice adrenaline red split dual tone interior, which is very nice. So we have nice bright red here and some red stitching. All the materials on the inside of the Corvette are very nice. So soft touch padded material all the way up here and down here, as well as leather on your armrest. We also have a nice 14 speaker Bose Performance Series sound system, almost said exhaust system, sound system, with the 1LT coming with a 10-speaker Bose audio system. Once you step it up to the 2LT, this is what you get. Very nice sounding speaker system. And you also have 2-person memory with an easy exit mode. Up here you have all of your mirror adjustments with the power folding mirrors. You also have your front windows up and down, and your kind of center window, which you can manually put up and down. And then we also have your convertible top, which will fold again down into the trunk area. Lock and unlock, and we also have a nice unlabeled button right here to get out of the vehicle, so that's your electronic release for the doors. And we have the front and rear trunk opening there. Now this is the angle you're gonna say, okay, yeah, it's pretty different inside, since we have 1, 2, 3 different displays and a whole different center console layout. But stay tuned, that is coming in a few minutes. On the left of the dash, we have an air vent. We also have our performance traction adjustment right over here, our traction control off, and our launch control button, which has a spaceship launching on the button, which is pretty darn cool. Down here we have a gauge dimmer and our press on, press off, release and setting for the parking brake. And then we also have some nice metal accented pedals, very soft carpeting in this car, and a manual release for the doors. The steering column is standard with the power adjustment, so up, down, in and out. And we have the optional GT2 seats in also optional dual tone. So we have a kind of nice suede on the inside with the black perforations. Also some carbon fiber up near the headrest. The headrest is nice smooth leather and it's fixed. It also has a nice area where you could put the seat belt, but very supportive seats, especially for going around the racetrack. And you have full powered with 4-way adjustable lumbar and a nice little entry sill right there. What do you say we hop in, start it up, and check out all the new tech? And so now that we have climbed into the inside of the Corvette, you can see, yes, quite a bit of a different interior again. New screens, new center console, the wall of buttons is gone, and it's kind of moved in a more natural position. And let's start this up so that we can both hear the startup and see all these new screens fire to life. And I also wanted to show you the key, which is pretty much the same. It's got the nice Corvette logo on the back, but we have lots of buttons going on here. We have lock, unlock, remote start, front trunk opener, rear trunk opener, convertible top opener, and the panic alarm. And you also have one more button at the side to give way to a physical key in case you need it. But back to the interesting part. We pretty much have a carryover steering wheel, but this one is a little bit extra nice because it has the optional suede finish with the nice red 12 o'clock marker and red stitching throughout. But as far as the buttons and things like that go on the steering wheel, you have cruise control over here, front collision alert sensitivity. You also have the Z button, which will bring you right to your pre-selected performance mode, which is pretty cool, and also lights up red on the steering wheel. Very cool. You have favorites for your audio, volume for your audio. You also have the heated steering wheel, voice commands, Bluetooth phone controls, and some subtle adjustments for the screen up there. Attached to the steering wheel, we have some real metal paddle shifters, and to this side we have our headlight controls, high beams, and turn signals. To this side we have our wipers, and the highlight of the show is kind of this new touchscreen that's on the left here, and it is multifunction, more so for like performance and things like that, but I will go through it so you can see. The kind of more mundane controls are down here with the lane keeping assist, which you could turn off, your interior monitoring, and heads-up display adjustments. So that will allow you to adjust the appearance of the heads-up display, and you could scroll over to adjust the positioning and brightness of the heads-up display. So pretty cool. And we just kind of switch hands here with the camera, and we'll click on these lines, which actually bring you to a completely different menu for the layout of your gauge cluster. So we have, currently we're in Tour, nice kind of singular tachometer with a digital speedometer. If we switch it over to Sport, we get some more red accents and a more prominent tachometer. And if we go to Track, everything changes. We have a kind of more of a line now for the tachometer. All your temperatures for your transmission, coolant, and oil, as well as your oil pressure. We also get a nice large display of what gear you're in, and also your tire pressures. So pretty cool. Then we also have your gas gauge on the very right. So pretty cool adjustments for the gauge cluster over there. We also have a couple other menus to go into, which is performance. So if you'd like, you can show that oil pressure, oil temperature, coolant temperature, and gearbox temperature right over here. If you swipe over, you can see the tire pressures, a G-force meter, real-time engine output, so you can see real-time horsepower and torque. You can also see what's going on with your electronic limited slip differential, which is pretty awesome. See if it's coupled or not. And just back to the performance screen. So very, very cool, nice new little screen over here, which I really like. It's kind of trickled over from Cadillac vehicles. Most Cadillacs have a touchscreen on this side, which is very, very cool. Just another area to show more data. So we pretty much went over the gauge cluster already, but very nice revised graphics, different look of really everything. And you could see the coolant temperature is now over there with the sort of normal driving mode. And I really like how it displays what gear you're in while you're driving. So if you're in first gear, second gear, third gear, so on. Over here, we could see the next new component of the interior, which is pretty much the same shape, but a nice updated graphics to the screen. Kind of brings it into 2026. Right over here is all of your shortcuts. So you have phone, you have navigation, which is now Google Maps, which is very, very nice looking display. You also have your music here, Sirius XM, AM, FM, an alternate home screen, which will show you what's going on with the radio and your navigation, and of course your home button. If you go into the vehicle status, you can see things like tire pressures, maintenance, and things like that. You can kind of swipe around the vehicle and click on each individual a little plus icon, and it'll tell you various information. And you can also go to the battery voltage and fuel economy, but who cares about fuel economy in a Corvette, really? We have the Google Assistant, which is your voice commands, Play Store, so you can download different apps. We also have wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Of course, we could bring up all the cameras around, so we make sure we do not hit any curves with this vehicle, since again, blind spots are plentiful in this vehicle. There is not a whole lot of glass going on in this car. This is a top down of the front, and then we can also kind of get a split screen, more of a wide angle for the front. So there's again two different cameras in the front so that you can see all around. And then we of course have our reversing camera. Plentiful amount of settings so that you could really customize the vehicle the way you like. We also have our climate control menu within the screen as well, although there's a full set of climate controls just below. The only thing you really don't have controls for here is to adjust where the air comes out, but everything else you really do have controls for. We also have the Wi-Fi hotspot, which will get to the name and password for the Wi-Fi in the vehicle. We also have my favorite screen, the performance menu. So you can not only have performance information here, you can also have it there and over here. So lots of different information you could display at once on different screens. But pretty nice looking meters here with the horsepower, torque, real time, and G-force. We also have engine data, so like a chart for all of your performance figures. We also have a kind of an adjustable chart here too, which shows most of the same information that your side display does. You can kind of customize the way you like it. And then we also have a nice timer setup here. So 0 to 60, 0 to 100, quarter mile, and a 60 to 200 rating as well. Right over here we have our performance data recorder, which is one of the best things that Chevrolet has ever implemented in any vehicle. It's been out for a while now, but basically it's a camera that is almost like a dash cam, but for racetracks and performance events and track days and things like that. And it'll also show you your telemetrics, so what speed you're going, what RPM you're at, what G-force you're doing, all on that recorded file, which is very, very cool. You can also save tracks in here for, it looks like, circuits and autocross courts, which is very cool. So it kind of tracks your position and learns a track. We also have your kind of, actually looks like an analogy screen, I guess you could say. So kind of keep an eye on your performance. You have some saved recordings and some settings that go along with that performance data recorder. Awesome, awesome technology that Chevrolet uses in really just the Corvette now, and a couple of the Cadillac products too. Over here we just see the audio, maps and phone, and Google News. At the bottom you get a nice kind of constant display of what your climate control is doing. So you have your temperatures down here. You can also turn on and off your heated and cooled seats. You have your AC on and off, recirculating, and your passenger temperatures and seats. Down here below our climate control, we can just turn everything off, set it to an auto. You have your fan speeds, defroster, and the temperature for the passenger area. Now down here is pretty familiar. This is your gear shift. So you have a press button for park, neutral, and manual mode, but you have pull tabs for any gear that that really gets you in motion. So you have reverse and drive. We'll kind of stick it in reverse so that you can see the backup camera once again with the guidance lines. And of course you have drive with the manual mode, and of course park. Now this is a pretty cool section over here. Again, redesigned center console with wireless charging pads. So it's not some sort of like ugly black kind of rubberized area. It's actually a kind of nice soft to the touch leather look material, and you can kind of slide your phone right underneath this panel that lifts up and close it down so it doesn't move around while it's charging your phone. We have some new cup holders that are kind of separated, and a couple of buttons down here. This is your performance mode selector, so you can press up and down. You can go to sport mode, track mode, normal or tour, my mode, which is a mode that you can customize for comfort, weather mode, and of course that Z mode on the steering wheel. So pretty cool. And then we also have a button over here to pull up your front cameras nice and quick. Underneath the center console, there's a decent amount of space, maybe enough space for a couple of phones or like little passes and things like that. You also have a USB and regular USB charger there, and another wireless charger right in the middle of the two seats with a pretty good looking kind of waterfall section, as they call on the Corvettes, for a center speaker. Again, passenger area, very nice seats and fully powered again. And our upper dash is all soft to the touch materials with stitching and red accents and all kinds of cool shapes and things like that. And of course, we also have that heads-up display with 3 different modes. We can electronically pop open the glove box, which has all your owner's manuals, and it's actually a pretty good size. 2 air vents, and we do get some pretty decent sized visors for a convertible. Usually convertibles have these little tiny useless sun visors, but these are actually pretty good size. And the driver's side has home link for your garage doors. Up here we have our OnStar and SOS buttons, hazard lights, and your passenger airbag indicator with your regular interior tap illumination. And what we're looking at here is our rear view camera mirror. So if you remember, I pointed out on the roof of the vehicle on the outside that there is actually a camera there. That is where that displays, right over here. So you could choose between having a regular mirror, which doesn't really do much good, or you can have the camera mirror, which is pretty cool. And there's also adjustments that go along with it. So you press this button, you can adjust the brightness. Press it once more, you can adjust the zooming in and out, and also the height. So pretty darn cool. Very, very nice addition to have that rear view camera mirror in this car. But that pretty much does it for all the features this Corvette has to offer for 2026. Nice interior pretty much only interior update with a couple of other, you know, color changes on the exterior as well for 2026. Make sure you stick with us here for our test drive, which you should see popping up right down below in your screen there. And thank you very much for watching.